Welcome to your magical moon message. This is the Peace Dealer. Shout out to my Infinites, part of Infinity Gang. We are Infinity heirs, not millionaires, trillionaires, billionaires. And in Gemini season, we are expressing the experience of our infinite quality and infinity air status through our omniscopic perspectives, our limitlessness. And the really amazing thing about this is we have completed the activation. We're stepping into the more integrative aspects of this activation. Coming into this moon in Virgo, moon in Libra, and moon in Scorpio transit before the full moon in Sagittarius shows us the understanding, moon and Sag, of the enlightened quality of our mindset that enables us to speak this updated programming language. Gemini is pretty much a programming language. If you think about the device you're using on your phone, any kind of electronic functions due to the programming that gives it the languaging for it to read the zeros and ones in order to function. Okay, before you see the elements of the programming, which is Sagittarius, and you experience its reality in Pisces, Gemini and Virgo deal with programming. Virgo is the analysis of the languaging to make sure that it's actually real and that the numbers crunch well. So Gemini will be the programming, and when you run the program and Virgo says, oh, there's an error, you correct and fix the error so that it can run smoothly. You can get the full experience. So the reason why that's important is relative to every Gemini season, whereas the spring brings new life, every Gemini to Sagittarius season is the process of, just like every year or periodically you have iPhone or Android or Windows or Apple or device updates, right? Every year, and it's not limited to just Gemini season, but based on this analogy, every year we update our firmware. We update the language we speak to ourselves. If you think that every year we grow and we become more experienced, we facilitate the experience from the past cycles to make adjustments, small or large, so that we can move forward. It's very natural when we look at cycles. So Gemini season represents, with the new moon, new ideas, new thoughts, new programming. And now once we bring in the magical element of the mutable signs, where Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn are powers, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius are royalty or energy or strength, currency. And in perspective, Gemini, Virgo, Sag, and Pisces are magic. All right, perspectives are magical in their changeable, mutable nature. And so every Gemini season, we are starting a new cycle of activating new ideas, new languaging. A magic spell is a program that you program into the operating system of your brain. Mercury ruling Gemini and Virgo. Gemini and Virgo being the perceptual reality and basis to allude to the fact that everything we experience, I won't say is a simulation, but with this brain that could be in a vat. Do you know it's in a vat? How do you know it's in a vat? This is where Sagittarius and Pisces uplift you out into multidimensional perspectives, which have you wonder, can you prove? When I was in college and we took a philosophy class and we were taught different, philosophical approaches, the main question throughout the course that we had to ask is, relative to these philosophy Sagittarius, relative to these philosophical, beliefs, Pisces, can you at any point in this course prove that you are not just a brain in a vat? How do you know that right now your brain is not on a vat perceiving everything? And thankfully, you'll come to the realization that you don't know. And this is what enlightenment teaches us. Nobody knows shit. The reason why I consider myself enlightened is because of how freely I can say, I don't know shit. And that is freedom, because when we acknowledge how much we don't know, smart people will not necessarily see themselves as smart. As much as I have studied so much in astrology, I'm like, everyone who knows about me knows that I'm one of the best at what I do. I'll tell you, all the stuff that I've learned is still just a grain of sand relative to all the knowledge out there. But regardless, this whole facet of the mercurial aspect of your brain with Gemini thoughts and information and curiously experimenting and Virgo analysis, Gemini words, Virgo numbers, Mercury is such a huge important factor in perceiving, in our input output function. I'm only speaking of just a small percentage of what the brain is possible, but just with this limited perspective, this, if you really study the significance of how Mercury ruling Gemini and Virgo pretty much map out our perceptual framework, it's really a lot to respect in the brain. And this is where now, relative to this yearly update, when we bring in the whole element of magic, we now know that with this greater mastery of manifestation with the eclipse in Taurus, Aries with Jupiter that brought this evolution of our character into more infinite power, or we don't have to use infinity, just really who you truly are. Taurus in the alignment of your values has enabled much more with Uranus, unconventional, quick alignment. We don't have to worry about how the speed is towards manifesting and aligning with what world you want to create. So now that you've tuned your guitar, right, Gemini and continuing to tune your mind and program are taking feelings, right? When it comes to manifestation, you don't worry about how to manifest what you're manifesting. You put yourself in a position to decide. The ninth house of Taurus, which is manifestation, is Capricorn. I decide. Once you make a decision, you have already set that intention and you just maintain that state. And so that state, of course, because water signs are the final signs, everything that you intend and do is to produce a feeling. Feeling is the secret. Being in that state before we develop Cancer and develop more of the secret of feeling is what literally, with the law of assumption, doesn't even really just create, it aligns you with what you have already created before you were even born, which is why you had the desire in the first place. And the cool thing about this is it's easily practicable. You can apply the scientific method to this. We've all had experiences with this that you could call coincidence or not. But now Gemini season enables you to create a brand new language based on this that you'll update, of course, every year and adjust as we get into different mutable signs. So, you have a state, right? And now that state of this feeling, you know what I'm saying, where I can be like, I create the program, I'm going to have a great day. Now I feel, what does that make me feel like? Powerful. Now, instead of waiting for the day to be good, I can maintain this powerful feeling and meet that. Now, Gemini season adds programming to where the word that I can create to match this state of having a good day, I can create the word bubbles. Now, every time I say bubbles and we apply neurolinguistic programming, I evoke that state. In fact, every time that I am in situations that reaffirm this, I can say the word bubble just to just reaffirm that. I can have a different word for every state, or I can use the same word for different states, because it's not the word you use, it's the intention behind the word. I could use bubbles to mean I'm having a great day today, or I could use bubbles to also mean get the fuck out my face, right? And now, just like a bodybuilder, people approach magic very nonsensically, where you wouldn't see a bodybuilder lift 250 pounds on a bench, and just because he did that once, he can't magically just lift 500. He had to stay in the gym. And this workout is in your mind. You have to live as if in your mind. The whole lesson of Gemini season is, what is the world you want to create by Sagittarius season and the full moon in Sag? You just thinking as if, even if your 3D is the opposite, that's what creates it. It's literally that simple. And now old habits that come up relative to the old story will fight these new habits relative to programming. And this is where repetition and consistency pretty much creates the mental strength and muscle, so that now when you say bubbles, your day has to conform to that because you've strengthened it. You put in work in the gym. And that's what brings us to Moon and Virgo. We are now getting ready to integrate everything we've activated. I'm going to talk a lot more about this in my monthly peace report that I'm going to do live at 5 p.m. PST on my YouTube channel. And what's really amazing about this is now that we're getting ready to integrate this, you're getting ready to understand the detailed causality and the physical experience of the effect of your mindset and how you can begin to integrate this into your society. Virgo society, which is social, Libra social, Scorpio social, okay? After we've strengthened the boldness of how we can say these words. So why this is even more amazing is relative to these magic words. Let me give you an example. The words just add more magic. So that in and of itself isn't really going to be what personally switches this on, right? For example, when I was in Texas the other month, I wanted to smoke some weed. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to practice manifestation. Like, I already know the weed's going to come to me. Like, I don't have to really worry about where to find it. I let it go. Less than 24 hours later, when I went to go do a meetup, this one lady, shout out to her, this goddess came through. All right, shout out to her. You might be watching this right now. And I didn't even realize that she had came to see me. I was all like, nah, let me not just assume that. You know what I'm saying? Even though I should have just followed my intuition. Anyway, right before we're about to leave, I end up, saying hi to her, or we end up saying hi to each other. And let me tell you, she literally came to that spot with some fire nugs, handed it to your boy, and I was just like, manifestation. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to do any repetition. I didn't have to really say any magic words. I just kind of let that go. This is where if I did do that, it would probably at least reinforce and keep me in that state, right? Everyone's different, but this is where this doesn't have to be intentful to where you're just mindlessly speaking affirmations. Affirmations are your thoughts, the thoughts you're having every day. And this is the programming language with which in a very short month you can change your whole life. And that's where the integration comes in. So Aries, new moon in Gemini, Cancer moon, and Leo moon was the equivalent of activating the magic words you want to use. You may have decided we are not limited to just 5. Okay, when I say bubbles, this will happen. When I say dumplings, this will happen. When I say chicken and waffles, this will happen. And that requires constant reinforcement in case you have outdated habits and beliefs that reinforce that you're not in control or you're not powerful. And this is the first thing that's going to rise up when you're instilling this updated language, or it can align if you're already mentally healthy. Now, the integration is taking these words, and now in the context of social situations, you're reinforcing it with those words. When you are hit socially with an experience, especially with the moon in Virgo, you're understanding the details of how to apply bubbles into the situation. It's actively harvesting these seeds. You're actually putting in work to the seeds you planted. Now you're nurturing it. Moon in Virgo has had this break through the ground. So the moon in Virgo that's going to be trining Uranus and Taurus is giving you very analytical, detailed understanding of the physical experience of how your body is evolving with Jupiter and Taurus and manifesting these supernatural effects that, albeit auto-nervous with the sun in Gemini, is giving you an initial perspective of what to perceive with this. And the square with the Virgo and Gemini wants to make sure that the thoughts that you're thinking have a basis in reality, so they're not just in the air, which means you'll have to adjust certain elements of your thoughts so that even though they're true, they can still be real. You're going to understand how to do that. And what's also interesting is the opposition of Saturn and Pisces. With the new moon, the square that we had from Gemini to Pisces tested your beliefs with the new thoughts you are activating so that you do not let doubt get in the way of that. Well, the moon in Virgo opposite Saturn is going to complete this by now helping you understand what's real about these beliefs so that you can reinforce more of this patterning you are developing to create these programs aka magic spells. I did my best to break that down as best as possible. By the time the moon's in Libra, this will now take this physiological understanding and enable you to understand how classically and socially to communicate your ideas and truth, and to actually express the power, the full expression of the power of these new magical abilities. So this is going to help you understand the beginning of integrating the perfection of your magical abilities and making more real the application of this new magical language. You are limitless. Anything you say, you can create. And now take that seriously, because the next week, by the time the moon's in Sag, you gonna see what you created.